Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed. I'm going to talk about my presentation, Chernobyl Nuclear Crisis, which related to my specific hazard, gamma rays. I have divided my presentation into four parts: introduction, scoping, appraisal, and concluding with recommendation. Gamma rays classified as a strong penetrating ionizing radiation, meaning that they can cause mutation to human DNA and adverse effect to the environment. In the year 1986, a nuclear accident occurred in Chernobyl which caused the instant death of two employees of the nuclear power plant that night. The accident led to breakout of fire and steam explosion. The fire burned for approximately 10 days, which resulted in the release of 5% of the radioactive reactor core into the environment. This exposure to gamma rays led to adverse health complications like acute radiation syndrome among the first responders and community around Chernobyl. Therefore, this case study of the Chernobyl disaster highlights empirical evidence of the deadly effects gamma rays on human health complications. As you see here in this slide, you can see how the radiation affects the human body and how the radiation affects its organ as well. The incident at Chernobyl led to the largest uncontrolled radioactive release in the environment, as large quantities of radioactive substances were released into the air 14 days straight. The reported death toll kept increasing after the incident. The first reported deaths were for the two operators in the plant. However, the official count was updated to 31 after the plant worker and the first responder of the incident died, months after the incident. Later, the death toll was then increased to 54 after Soviet military were called to mitigate the situation of the incident. These were the short-term deaths of the incident. Long-term death then followed months after the incident. Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine were looking for the best way to manage the release of the radiation into the air. Russia sent its military personnel. Ukraine and Belarus used their local mediator to mitigate the situation. However, this action led to more deaths. Therefore, months after the incident, the Soviets enlisted over 600,000 liquidators who were responsible for cleaning up the mess of the incident. Over the years, up to 1990 of those involved in the cleanup, WHO reported a death toll approximately 6,000 deaths. This figure shows the reported death toll for the incident by different media houses. This shows the effect of the incident were hard to track down. These are the low estimate of immediate Chernobyl deaths as a consequence of the actual accident. As you see here, UPI at the time of the disaster predicted that there would be 2,000 immediate deaths, but the New York Post News predicted that there would be 16,000 immediate deaths. That was my scoping part. Now I'm going to talk about my appraisal part. The impact of the incident led to death due to the increase of contamination in the lands of Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. From the reports done by the World Health Organization, radiation-contaminated areas become larger following the years after the incident, with an annual death rate of 16.5 per 1,000 people in Ukraine and 18.5 in Belarus. An increase in infant mortality rate was also witnessed in Ukraine, for further population of more than 6 million persons in the contaminated area. The projected number of deaths was about 5,000. Up to now, an estimated 5 million people currently live in areas of Belarus, Russia, and Ukraine that are contaminated with radionuclides due to the accident. Close to 200,000 of them live in areas classified in the past by government authorities. Due to disaster, issues such as poverty, lifestyle disease are now widespread in part of Russia, and mental health problems posed a far greater threat to local communities because of the radiation exposure. This in turn reduces the quality of life. The death toll increased due to the use of liquidators in the vicinity after the accident. There are more than 600,000 people who were used to mitigate the accident to reduce the death toll. The death toll increased over the years due to the teams that were used to mitigate the incident. The Russian military personnel and Ukraine liquidators, these were the main people used to mitigate the rising death toll. In the year 2005, the government of Ukraine had to step in and provide relief for 19,000 families that lost a breadwinner due to the Chernobyl incident. From the report by WHO, the adverse effects of the incident are far-reaching. This means that the effects are being seen more and more over the years. In the year 2019, the number of families reported to be under the Ukraine government relief assistance for those affected by the incident is 35,000. This shows the effects are still being felt. From the assessment made, it was seen that the rising death toll was because of the prolonged contamination of gamma rays in the air, which continued to propagate into the lands of Belarus and Russia. Due to contamination, vast lands were deemed uninhabitable. The stakeholders should therefore use the assessment to displace the people who are living in that area. The number are increasing when the people are still living in that area. The assessment shows that close to 6 million people were in contaminated areas. The stakeholders were provided recommendations based on the spread of the contaminant. Decision makers are therefore were provided the ideology of how success would look like and the relocation would be efficient. The main positive outcome would be that there would be a reduced number of deaths within the region. The Chernobyl disaster that involved the exposure of people to gamma rays led to adverse health effects for both children and adults, and the relocation of more than 300,000 people. Government agencies and nuclear facilities should create and implement emergency preparedness plans to protect people from adverse health complications. So, nuclear plants should design reactor with fortified contaminated structures. Government agencies should be prepared for rapid and organized evacuation. Plans or agencies that implement this recommendation will protect the public from the health complications related to the exposure to gamma rays. Thank you for listening, and here is the references.